If you wish to speak to any item on the agenda or during the public comment portion of the meeting, please fill out a speaker card. Each person addressing the board shall have 3 minutes to complete his or her comments on each agenda item for which he or she has filled out a card. The chair has the discretion to determine or alter the time limits on any agenda item. The Board of County Commissioners requests that speakers appearing under the public comment section of the agenda limit their comments or presentations to matters relating to county business that are within the board's control, authority, and jurisdiction.
Welcome, everyone, to the April 8th meeting for the Board of County Commissioners. We have quorum, so I'll call the meeting to order. Invocation tonight by Dr. Bostic, City of Refuge. You're recognized. Thank you for being here.
Good evening, everyone. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, God, we're so grateful to be in your presence tonight. God, we just thank you for this meeting that we have gathered. We're asking, Lord, for your divine wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. We thank you for the peace. We thank you for the order. And God, we pray for every commissioner. I pray a blessing upon them in their lives and their families. And all of your people that are here tonight, we pray your divine protection. Our children, as they go to school, God, we pray for our school board as well. Our superintendents, our teachers, our staff. And God, we just give you the glory for what you have done here tonight. Thank you, Lord, for increase in our district, in our county, in our state, and in our nation. We give you the glory for all that you have done. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Goodson for an announcement followed by the pledge.
Yes, I'd like to tell you this was not due to my wife, okay? I tried to make up all kinds of stories, but short and simple, tripped and fell into a fence and then fell into a brick paver pile. I wish it was more exciting, but it will get better with time. So if you'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, sir. And Commissioner Goodson, we wish you speedy recovery. Okay, Commissioners, we have minutes for approval from January 14th regular meeting, February 11th regular meeting, February 25th regular meeting.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Delaney. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Altman. The clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Altman,
Yes.
Chairman Feltner.
Yes. We'll show that passes 5-0. Thank you, Commissioners. We're going to move around a little bit in the order here. I see the sheriff in the back, so we're going to go to item E2. Sheriff. We have a resolution tonight for Commander K9 Junny. I'll read the resolution, then we'll look for a motion. After we pass it, then Sheriff, you'll share some words with us, and then we'll present you with a framed copy. And okay. Whereas Commander K9 Junny was lovingly known as America's top police dog, and whereas Commander K9 Junny was a loyal and loving dog who loved citizens and was the Brevard County Sheriff's ambassador, and whereas Commander K9 Junny carried the legacy of Junny Rios Martinez, who was abducted and murdered, and Commander K9 Junny was originally gifted to the Sheriff's Office by the Jimmy Rice Center to search for abducted and lost children in 2014. And whereas Commander K9 Junny was partner to Sheriff Wayne Ivey and was a seasoned traveler visiting over 5 states and the District of Columbia. And whereas Commander K9 Junny had a cameo role in the Space Coast Ballet production of The Nutcracker. And whereas Commander K9 Junny is the namesake of K9 Junny Animal Medical Center. And whereas Commander K9 Junny taught how to love unconditionally, he taught the true meaning of loyalty, he taught how to protect those you love, he taught how to forgive in seconds, not days, he taught how to trust, he taught how to live life to the fullest, he taught us how to play like there is no tomorrow, he taught us how to take naps, and he taught us how to have faith in who takes care of you. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, does hereby recognize and honor America's top police dog, Commander K9 Junny, done, ordered, and adopted in regular session this 8th day of April 2025. Commissioners.
Move to approve.
There's a motion by Commissioner Delaney. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Atkinson. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Altman,
Yes.
Chairman Felton.
Yes. Sheriff, you're recognized, sir.
First of all, Chairman, thank you, and thank commissioners for recognizing Junny. This has been probably the toughest couple of weeks of my life. None of us imagined what Junny's persona would become here in Brevard County, and all the things that he did, from being involved in helping allow pets to be in domestic violence injunctions, to helping protect animals, to helping the many different programs that we had. Junny did it all, and I want to thank you for recognizing not only Junny, but the legacy that he carries on of Junny Rios Martinez. I also want to thank our citizens for the love and the just outpouring of thoughts and prayers that everybody has thrown our way at the sheriff's office. No secret, that dog went with me everywhere, and I'm honored to accept this resolution on his behalf. And again, thank this entire commission, this entire community for how much they love Junny. Their thoughts and prayers and the outpouring of love has eased the pain of losing him. So thank you, sir.
All right, sir. We have a resolution for you here. Okay, Commissioner Altman, you have a resolution tonight, sir.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a resolution recognizing Child Abuse Prevention Month. Whereas prevention is possible, with the right policies and investments, families and children can thrive and avoid contact with child welfare and other costly systems. Whereas the early experiences of a child impact them throughout life, both positively and negatively. And whereas every family and child is filled with tremendous promise, and we all have a collective responsibility to prevent adverse childhood experiences, foster the potential of every child, and promote positive childhood experiences. And whereas positive childhood experiences such as loving caregivers and safe, stable, and nurturing relationships play a vital role in helping children thrive by mitigating trauma and the negative impact of adverse childhood experiences. And whereas families who receive the support they need before a crisis occurs are better equipped to provide safe, healthy, and nurturing environments, leading to the children who are safer, healthier, and more hopeful about their futures. And whereas childhood trauma, including abuse and neglect, can have long-term psychological, emotional, and physical effects throughout an individual's lifetime and impact future generations. And whereas primary prevention of child abuse and neglect can reduce the lifelong economic burden associated with child maltreatment, and whereas effective child abuse prevention activities succeed because of the partnership created between child welfare professionals, education, health, and community and faith-based organizations, businesses, law enforcement agencies, and families. And whereas communities must take every effort to promote programs and activities that create strong and thriving children and families. And whereas we acknowledge that we must work together as a community to increase awareness about families' need, what they need before they are in a crisis, and contribute to promoting the social and emotional well-being of children and families in a safe, stable, and nurturing environment. And whereas investments in primary prevention initiatives such as early childhood home visiting programs, policies that promote economic stability and mobility, and community child abuse prevention efforts reduce the likelihood of abuse and neglect and ensure children have the foundation for a lifelong well-being. And whereas primary prevention remains the best defense for our children and families, we can prevent child abuse and neglect before it happens. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, does hereby proclaim the month of April 2025 as Child Abuse Prevention Month, and urges all citizens to recognize this month by dedicating ourselves to the task of improving the quality of life for all children and families. Together, we can create a state where every child can grow up happy, healthy, and safe with the hope for their future. Donor ordered and adopted this regular session this 8th day, April 2025.
Move
And
to
you-
approve.
Okay, I was going to ask Commissioner Altman, but we have a motion by Commissioner Delaney, and, sir, you want a
Second, I'll
Your
second.
a motion? Okay, we have a second by Commissioner Altman. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson.
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Altman,
Yes.
Chairman Feltner.
Yes, we'll show that approved 5-0. You're recognized, ma'am.
Thank you so much to you, Commissioner Altman, and all of the commissioners for supporting this initiative. This is a national initiative, Child Abuse Prevention Month, but we plant pinwheels. You'll see these beautiful blue pinwheels planted in honor of Brevard's children. It represents a happy, healthy, whimsical child. And that's what every child in Brevard County deserves. The Child Abuse Prevention Task Force of Brevard is made up of wonderful organizations represented here today: Children's Advocacy Center, Guardian Ad Litem, Family Partnerships of Central Florida, and many others that are working tirelessly to ensure that our children grow up happy and healthy. And we just thank the community again for supporting this initiative that the pinwheel does represent, that we can make a difference. And I just thank you again. So.
Sir, you're recognized, Commissioner Altman.
I just want to thank those who have dedicated their lives to protecting our children. There's no greater cause or greater purpose than to protecting our children and ensuring that we give them the fullest life possible. So thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Commissioner Delaney, you have a resolution tonight.
Thank you. This is Fair Housing Month proclamation. Whereas April 11, 2025 marks the 57th anniversary of the passage of the Fair Housing Act, which affirms national policy of fair housing for all who have lived in the United States. And whereas the Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, and national origin. And whereas this act provides equal housing opportunity for all Americans regardless of race, color, sex, religion, or national origin, as well as to ensure fair practice in the sale, rental, or financing of a property. And whereas the Fair Housing Amendments Act of 1988 added new rights, remedies, monetary penalties, and strengthened its enforcement procedures. And whereas the Fair Housing Amendments Act seek to provide equal housing opportunities, to affirmatively further housing choices, to eliminate legal barriers to equal housing, and to emphasize equal housing as a fundamental human right for all. And whereas Brevard County is committed to fair housing and promotes services and activities provided by private and public entities for equal housing opportunities for all residents and prospective residents. And whereas Brevard County fully supports the intent and purpose of the Federal Fair Housing Act, local fair housing laws, and follows policies and practices in order to achieve its goal. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, do hereby proclaim April 2025 as Fair Housing Month, done, ordered, and adopted in regular session on this 8th day of April 2025.
Commissioner, you want to make the motion?
Sure, move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Delaney. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Altman. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Altman,
Yes.
Chairman Feltner.
Yes, and we'll show that adopted 5-0. Commissioner Delaney, did you have, I think you're a guest here? Yes. Are you going to speak, sir, on behalf of the group?
I'll be happy to.
Okay,
That's all right.
it's okay.
Rusty Mellon, Space Coast Association of Realtors. We just want to say thank you for supporting this, proclaiming this Fair Housing Month. We all know what a fundamental right and important for workforce and families and everything this is for Brevard County. So we appreciate that very much.
Thank you for all
Thank
you guys
for bringing
do.
that forward. So, anybody else? Thank
Okay,
you, guys.
I think she has a framed resolution for you, and take a picture. Okay. Thank you very much. As Commissioner Delaney's making her way back here, Mark, you're going to introduce this item?
Good evening, Board. On February 7th, 2023, the Board authorized a right of entry to begin an environmental assessment for the former Naval Air Station Banana River off-base disposal area in South Patrick Shores. Tonight, Mrs. Lee Duffel and Mr. Tompa from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is here to briefly present next steps, which include digging test pits in our community later this month.
Ma'am, you're recognized.
Thank you. My name's Rebecca Lee Duffel. I'm the project manager.
You might have to speak directly in the microphone so everybody at home can hear you, okay?
How's this?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. I'm Rebecca Lee Duffel. I'm the project manager for this FUDS project. And these were the conclusions from the preliminary assessment. And right now, where we are in this CERCLA phase is the remedial investigation. So that's what we're doing with the test pits right now. So the reason for the RI is it's not a removal action. We're not looking for things to remove, but to identify the nature and extent of potential Navy-related impacts. And the results and data from this FS is going to determine what we do in the future at the site. And on here, it's hard to see,
but we've got the test pits here on this map, and we use ground penetrating radar to find the best locations to dig the test pits, and we've gotten property owner permission to do the test pits. So we'll document conditions before and after, mark utilities, and there's going to be a small excavator to dig the trench. It's going to be about 10 feet and go down 6 to 8 feet. And once we get that data, that's going to determine our next steps, which would be soil sampling and analysis and groundwater sampling if necessary. So we've been doing a lot of communication with the public, letters, postcards, drop-in meetings, telephone calls. So there's been a lot of communication with everyone there. And our test pits starting April 2025, we're starting next week in the field, and Brad and I will be there to do oversight. And based on those results, we'll do soil borings in summer 2025. Any questions or comments?
Commissioner Delaney, go ahead. I see you reaching for your light there.
Thank you for giving us this update. I was wondering, just because I can't tell from the map, is the high school, this is Satellite Beach, right?
Here?
That's where the test, that's where we're talking about?
Yeah.
Is Satellite Beach?
Yes.
Are any of the test pits going to be on the high school or the Satellite or
No.
Delora?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Obviously, you'll have, once you compile all of this information, then you'll have to decide what that means. How long, tell us what happens next, just since you're here today and the public's watching. So what are the next steps?
Well, really, it's going to be, we have to analyze the data, and then not till summer 2025 will we maybe start the borings. After that, it would be, we have to get the data back. What's the timeline for that? A few months we'll get the data from that.
So maybe by Christmas, we'll have some answers from the Army Corps?
Yes, sir.
At least on this sampling?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are there other questions? Commissioners? Commissioner Delaney for a question.
If you guys do, find some troubling data points, is there any thought to check the schools over there? That area? Because I know that there are a lot of people. I've been to a couple of the RAB board meetings, and so I know that that's a huge concern.
So I'm trying to understand your question. We're not doing a test pit at the school, but you're
Right.
saying if we find something.
Are you going to expand it all, or is it just in that target area that you showed us on the maps?
This is just for the initial test pits. Based on the results, there could be more test pits, and we don't have those locations yet.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Goodson.
Usually it follows the water table as far as flow. If you have some sort of a pollutant, correct?
Follows the what?
Water table as far as flow, plumes,
Yes.
correct? Which
Yeah.
way is the plume going naturally down there? Does it go to the river, the ocean, or does it go south? Which way is the
To the
water flow
ocean.
now?
Sir, if you wouldn't mind saying that on the
Yeah.
mic for the benefit of people
This is
at
Brad
home.
Tompa. He's our technical lead.
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir.
That would be,
We really don't know the flow. We don't have monitoring wells in yet. We assume it might be tidally influenced a little bit, but it's probably, relatively flat because
Okay.
it's sand. So we just don't know. And to your question about the school, the footprint you see was based on aerial imagery, historical aerial imagery of what we know where the extent of where material may have been buried by the Navy. So that's kind of where we're focusing our study for this phase.
question, Chair.
Sir?
Do you know what was buried there?
No idea,
No idea.
no idea.
Well,
It was an uncontrolled dump since World War II.
Correct.
And that's the purpose of what we're doing. Preliminary work was done in the, I want to say the early 2000s by the EPA. The good part of that is they didn't find any contaminants in the groundwater or soil.
All right.
So.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
A final question, sir, if I might. Have you done this kind of work in other places, other formerly used defense sites?
Similar projects, not this exact one, but similar.
I won't ask you to predict the outcome, but just the path that some of those have taken before.
It's highly variable. We did something similar in Puerto Rico with trenches and sampling and monitoring wells of an old landfill. And as bad as it looked, we really didn't find any contaminants.
If the Army Corps were to find something, what is remediation? Or is that something the Corps would also be tasked with? Is the remediation?
We would, if that phase came along, we would definitely develop a plan for that as well.
Okay. Is that soil removal? I'm not asking typical, because I understand that each one of these are different. I get that our barrier island is different than some other places that you've been, but is that a kind of a starting point?
There's multiple ways. This is the early starting point. But if there is problematic soil contaminants, then yes, it would have to be addressed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Commissioners, Commissioner Altman, and then we'll go to Commissioner Delaney.
So I see the map, the area, that was slide 5. The green area is the area where you received right of entry.
Correct. Those are the properties where people have agreed to let us either do the GPR on their property or to do a test pit.
Are there any property owners who said no?
Yeah, the property, so this is just the area, do we have a map of the actual?
This is what we have.
This is what we have? Okay, so if you kind of imagine this area being outlined,
right,
would be the entire area. So you see there's some parcels within the area that are not green, so those people declined to have the work done.
Okay.
Commissioner Delaney.
I hate to put you on the spot here. I'm sorry for this, but I just feel like it's a little disingenuous saying that there's probably not contamination in this area.
Oh, that's why we're here.
Okay.
We're not saying, we're not predetermining anything. That's why this study is taken, the slides you put up where there shows the circular process is a very rigorous process of getting to a point where you determine what how to do the investigation, what you're going to investigate for. It's a very rigorous process. And you're just seeing two people. There's really a team. We have a team of folks in Jacksonville and Huntsville on the Army Corps side, and then we have our contractors and their scientists and engineers who have been developing these plans, and we've been reviewing them and making sure they're going to address those questions. So it's a very rigorous development of what we're going to analyze for and how many samples we're going to take.
Are you aware that there are residents who have dug in their own yards and that they have had massive side effects from the things that they've dug up in their yards?
I know people have dug material up. I'm not sure of any health issues.
Well, I'm telling you now.
Okay.
So, just so you know.
Yes.
So that's why I just, our residents here are very aware of what's going on in this area, and so.
And that's why we're glad to do this. I mean,
Yeah.
this is, and again, it seems like it's taken a long time, but the process we have to go through to make sure the money is spent correctly is you develop a very good plan, and then you work the plan, and you move on. And it's a sequential plan, step by step, we move forward as we gather information.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions? I'll ask one more. If we had a serious weather event late spring, early summer, how would that affect things? for you? You said summer you're going to do the boring.
The borings, basically, so the first task are these test pits. Based on this information, we're kind of using this information to prove what we found in the GPR studies. So we did GPR studies 6 months ago that identified possible buried material. These test pits are going to go to those areas. We're going to dig up, see what we find, and then based on that, we can use the borings to go to other areas and do borings and see if it's what material we find there. So.
Okay, sir. I think that's it. Thank you very much for coming tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we will go on to consent. And Melissa, so while everybody's thinking about that, do we have any cards for the G? No. Okay. Well, on G items, do you have G item cards? Okay. Okay, commissioners, are there anything you want to take off of consent?
I would like to pull appointments, and not to do anything other than I would love for my appointee to be able to introduce herself, if that's okay.
Okay, so that's item F6, right?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else, commissioners, you want to take off of consent? No? Okay. We'll oblige.
Thank you.
You want to introduce your appointee, and then we'll entertain a motion for the whole consent. How's that?
Thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Gecki, would you mind coming up? She is going to be my appointee to the EDC, and thank you so much for serving in this role, and I'm excited to work with you.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Commissioner Delaney, and to the entire County Commission board. My name is Marcia Gedke, and I'm a lifelong resident of Titusville. I've worked for the last almost 30 years in the community in some form or fashion, primarily in developing our community and on the business development side as the president of the Chamber of Commerce in Titusville, and I'm now at the Titusville Playhouse. So I'm excited to be able to work with many of my friends, again, in the community, and I look forward to representing Commissioner Delaney and certainly this board at the EDC and making good things happen in Brevard County. So,
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, commissioners, is there a motion for consent?
Second?
Yeah, that's okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Atkinson. We have a second by Commissioner Altman. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Altman,
Yes.
Chairman Felton.
Yes, we'll show that passes 5-0. Thank you. Okay, we have 5 cards on the G section of public comment. Jane Higgins. Ma'am, you're recognized.
Hello, I'm Jane Higgins from Palm Bay, Florida, and I presented to you last month at the SEER review and just wanted to share some additional information that we found with you because it's a journey here with our learning about low-impact development. So what is low-impact development on the second slide? These are right off the Brevard County LID retrofit guide, which we found. Didn't know if you were aware of the Brevard County LID retrofit guide. I was not, so it was interesting to find that document. And if you go to the next slide, what's the good news? Basically, it was finding that document that was prepared in 2020. It is a retrofit guide for commercial and light industrial facilities. But it's a very thorough guide dealing with those, and it's out on the Florida DEP site. So I have the link out there. The Florida DEP site is an excellent reference for all things environmental in the state of Florida. So if you get a chance to look at that, if you haven't already, you may have. And then also, I was very impressed with the Brevard County Natural Resources Stormwater Public Education site that's out there. It incorporates many of the LID principles. It doesn't call it LID, but it is very LID oriented. And there's great resources on the Florida DEP, as I said. And I did want to give a huge shout out to the many Florida Brevard County parks out there that are using native plants, which are a key component of LID. You might be familiar with the Enchanted Forest up north. It's just a treasure. Erna Nixon, we work with a lot in Conradina. And the Rotary Park at Suntree was featured on our landscape tour last year. So that has a lot of great plants on it. And then I put a page here, suggestions for future considerations, as y'all are going through all these SEERs that you have to go through now that we have them available to us. We really appreciate the opportunity for that input. 12 SEERs just on LID I thought was awesome. And several other recommendations here as well. And the last slide I knew I probably wouldn't get to, but just wanted to point out the difference between Florida-friendly landscaping and Florida native plants, because it is an important differentiation between those two. Native plants are within Florida friendly, but Florida friendly encompasses more than just the native. So very important environmentally to understand those differences. So I think the buzzer's gonna ring. Is there any questions that I can answer for you?
So the plants that grow between the cracks of the sidewalk that you don't necessarily want there, are they native or are they friendly?
I'd have to know what they were specifically. Chances are they might be neither. They might be invasive.
Okay. Well,
unfortunately.
I have some that are very determined.
Yes,
and
they are very determined.
I always think that that should be the lawn because that's what wants to be here. So,
right. And many grasses are invasive, in fact. So.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, and I look forward to your SEER analysis.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Christina Fleming.
Good evening, Board. My name is Christina Fleming, and I'm here today not as a retired firefighter. I'm here as a firefighter's wife, a voice for the silent sufferers in our community. I stand before you not just as a spouse, but as someone who sees firsthand the incredible strain that mandatory overtime and understaffing are placing on the men and women who serve as our firefighters, as well as on their families. We, the spouses, are the unsung heroes. We are the ones who are expected to juggle multiple roles that no one sees but are crucial to keeping our families afloat. We are the Uber drivers, the chefs, the doctors, the nurses, the housekeepers, the lawn maintenance workers, the handymen when things breaks and our husbands and wives are at work. We are the teachers, and we are also the therapists. And now for some of us, we have to play these roles even more because our firefighter spouses are working more hours, covering more shifts, and sacrificing their time and well-being just to make ends meet. It's not just about the long hours. For some, it's the emotional toll of balancing their role as a firefighter while simultaneously carrying the weight of home life without the support of their partner. There are now firefighters working whose spouses have dying, or they're just ill, which leaves them with even more responsibility. All of this while the pay for a Brevard County employee, particularly a firefighter, simply doesn't stretch far enough. And when other sources of income are unavailable or scarce, it forces us to stretch every dollar. We are doing everything we can to create a budget that meets the basic needs: food, shelter, utilities, and health care. But in these times of rising prices, even these are bare necessities are becoming harder and harder to maintain. The county has been in a state of critical need for far too long, and yet nothing seems to be done except for kicking the can down the road. Our spouses have been forced to work longer, harder, and for less. And now with the recent news of Orlando Health closing its Rockledge facility, our spouses are going to feel the added pressure of even fewer resources for our community. This decision is going to put an additional strain on them both physically and emotionally. I have two questions. You are asking tonight one district to give up funding. Why are we not asking each district to get rid of their extraneous monies? I'm sure all of you have a few $1 million that you can spare. Number two, why has the county not made a decision on the fire department funding, wages, and the response models yet? As a community, we should be doing everything we can to support our first responders, not pushing them to their limits without addressing the root causes of this ongoing issue. It's time to stop waiting and take the action. Our firefighters are not just the backbone of this community, they are the ones who keep everything running smoothly behind the scenes. I urge the board to take immediate action to address the understaffing and mandatory overtimes that are harming not just our firefighters, but their families as well. Our community depends on these brave men and women, and we, as their spouses, are silently bearing the weight of the sacrifices they are making. It is time for us to stand up and ensure that they are supported in the ways they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Bruce, did I say that right? No, we did that routine once before. I said we did that routine before.
Yeah.
You recognize, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. I will be extremely brief. I just want to introduce myself to those of you I have not had the pleasure of meeting. My name is Steve Bruck, resident of Satellite Beach. Also applied to be on the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee. So just want to introduce myself. I've been able to meet with some of you. Hopefully we'll have more of that soon, but just want to put a face with the name. I know it has to go through department, I think, recognition, but hopefully they'll be voted on sometime in the near future. So I submitted my information, I think, to each of you have that. So have background, obviously, with Habitat for Humanity. We would advocate for affordable housing being part of that, or attainable home ownership being a part of that affordable housing equation. So I do bring many years of experience in government board experience, tax financing authority, redevelopment authority at county level. So would appreciate a vote on that. Look forward to being part of the conversation. And again, just wanted to put a face with the name, Steve Bruck with Space Coast Habitat. Thank you.
I'll get it
Steve,
right next
if you don't mind, I just want to say thank you so much for what you do. And as far as affordable housing goes, your guys' mission is something that's awesome, getting people into home ownership. That is, in my opinion, what we should be focusing on with that.
I appreciate that enormously.
So,
it is definitely an and conversation where there's so many different avenues of affordable housing, and it's not an or conversation between rental and LIHTC, but it's an and conversation. So it's just trying to keep that in the forefront of the conversation. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Jan Scott.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak tonight. I wanted to bring up one topic that's been in the national news lately. I'm a third-generation descendant from the construction of the Panama Canal, and you may not know that the Panama Canal was given in a treaty to a military dictator, Omar Torrijos, by one Senate vote. Senator DeConcini voted to give away the Panama Canal. That was the deciding vote. I am a former elected official, mayor of Cocoa Beach, and I know the value of a vote, that one vote. It is a big impact on other things that happen as you move on from that thing that you voted on to what somebody else does. I am an avid advocate for no taxation. I don't believe that it's imperative of the community and the EDC and all these other things that go on to give a tax abatement to a 501 corporation, C3, C4, whatever they are. After you make that vote, you never see where the money is going and being passed on to someone else. It's really very difficult. I also wanted to address this evening the turtle nesting in Cocoa Beach. Between March 1st and October, 75,000 turtles nest in Brevard beaches. The TDC gave $50,000 to Superboat Race and Thunder on the Beach in Cocoa Beach. I realize you may have heard that I talk about it a lot. I am not against all the fun on the beach. What I am against is the date of the race, May 18th to May 20th. I feel very strongly that the state, the counties, the cities should be consistent people, are badgered all the time. Turn out your lights, close your curtains on the beach. It's turtle nesting season. Oh, but we can have a boat race where a half-a-ton boat can zoom up and down and hit a 2,000-pound object. It's going to be sad for when that happens. It has happened, I believe, in the past, kept very quiet and kept on the down low, and the race has been shut down. But why go through that? Why not just move the date of the race to some other time? Thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth Blackford.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Elizabeth Blackford from Palm Bay, Florida. I am a 2015 graduate of the Brevard County's Citizens Academy. This year, I participated in the Speak Up Brevard program for the first time, submitting 2 suggestions and elaborating on them during the March 3rd workshop. While the program has generated great ideas since its inception in 2010, I found the process of submitting and implementing ideas lacking. This led me to join an ad hoc committee aimed at improving the Speak Up Brevard process. Our goal is to ensure future citizens' efficiency and effectiveness recommendations, or SEERs, are thoughtful, researched, and actionable, making it easier for you and the county staff to implement them. We plan to test some of our ideas this cycle to help you make your vote in May a step forward in harvesting the best suggestions for improving our quality of life here in Brevard County. Thank you all for your attention.
Thank you very much. All right, Commissioners, that's the G section of the public comments. We'll go to item H1. Jill, you're recognized.
Good evening, Commissioners. This agenda item requests approval of the mid-year budget supplement and amends the projected balance forward budgets that were developed before the closeout of fiscal year 2024. The adopted budget includes estimated balance forward based on anticipated level of revenue, expenses, and project completion. And during the first several months of the new fiscal year, revenue and expenses are still being accrued, and the financial statements are then reconciled and audited by county finance, and then staff analyzes the actual balance forwards, and changes are then brought to the board for approval. And so most of these adjustments are associated with multi-year projects, but our agenda and supporting documentation summarize the total change in each fund type, and also includes the individual budget change requests as well as the advertisement of public hearing. And we're available to answer any questions you may have.
Commissioners, questions? Okay. Do we need to approve, Jill? Need a motion? Okay.
Correct.
All right. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Commissioner Atkinson. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Altman. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney.
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson.
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson.
Yes.
Commissioner Altman.
Yes.
Chairman Feltner.
Yes. We'll show that passes 5-0. Thank you, Commissioners. Okay. We'll go to item I1. I don't think Peter's here tonight. Commissioner, if you want to vote on it, we can, but...
Just very quickly, I'd like to leave the 20,000 with the TDC, so I make a motion to allow the TDC to keep the 20,000.
Okay, so,
Second.
okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Atkinson on I1. We have a second by Commissioner Delaney. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney.
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson.
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson.
Yes.
Commissioner Altman.
Yes.
Chairman Feltner.
Yes, and we'll show that passes 5-0. Okay, Commissioners, we're going to go to item I2.
Good evening, Commissioners. I2 is for the termination of the lease for the Furever home, as well as implementing previous board direction to provide a draft request for proposal to lease the facility, and then for the board to authorize the selection of the negotiation committee. So the first action that we're requesting is to approve the previous termination of the lease, if we can do that, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Commissioners, so we're going to do this in two parts. Now, I do have speaker cards, but I think everyone is probably in favor of terminating the lease. So let's do that, okay, just as a housekeeping issue. Is there a motion to terminate the lease?
Move to approve the termination of the lease.
Okay, Commissioner Delaney moves that we terminate the lease. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Atkinson. Clerk will call the roll on terminating the lease.
Commissioner Delaney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Altman,
Yes.
Chairman Felton.
Yes, okay, we'll show that adopted 5-0. Thank you for that, Commissioners. Okay, when we do have a few cards on this item, so let's go to the, actually, I guess, let's do questions. Are there questions for staff? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Commissioner Delaney.
I don't really have a question, but I would just love to clarify something that I think there was like a miscommunication in the lines. At the last meeting, I was trying to convey that if this was the way that we wanted to go, I just wanted a fair process. And so I just wanted to put it out there that I'm still open to the conversation with the rest of the board about how we want to move forward with this property. I'm not sold on any one particular avenue.
Okay, we appreciate that. Are there questions? Are there any questions before we go to the cards? Okay. Sarah Skywin.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. I wanted to introduce Kara Lester. She's my cohort with Brevard Barkhouse. I just wanted to say thank you and just put it back on the plate that we're really interested in the building to help out the community. We have an extreme amount of backup, and we just hope that that is an option that is on the table for us to do. And we just want to make ourselves open to any questions that anybody might have at all.
Okay. Commissioners, while Ms. Sarah is here, other questions? Anything else you want to say? Ma'am, you still have some time.
No, that's all.
Okay.
We're just looking forward to helping the community, and that's it. I wanted to introduce my sidekick here.
Nice to meet you all.
So, and thank you again.
Thank
We
you.
really appreciate it.
Yes,
Okay, thank you very much. Richard Lang.
I really don't have anything. I spoke at the last meeting. I'm just here to find out the determination of what they want to do with the property and how they're going to go about possibly leasing it out if that's the case.
Okay, sir. Are there any questions for Mr. Lang? No? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. Teresa Clifton, Brevard Humane Society.
Good evening. I am Teresa Clifton, the Executive Director of the Brevard Humane Society for the last 21 years. We've been serving the community since 1952 and started on Clear Lake Road, moving to Cox Road in 1962. And I have to say, I have seen a lot during this time. I'm amazed that people move to our community and do not want to help existing successful businesses that are nonprofits do what they do in the community. Instead, they want to start up another one, duplicating existing services, causing the public to choose who to give their expendable funds to. Makes no sense to me because most of them do not last more than 3 to 5 years. I've already lived what you guys have to work through because, well, anyway, regarding the building at 2605 Flake Road, there's no point in discussing the conditions as you all already heard it from your own staff and the sheriff. Yes, I've spoken to him, and he's not interested at all in it staying alive. But I will only say it needs to be condemned and demolished. It's not habitable. Aside from the fleas, ticks, ringworms, mold, feces, and rats, drains, electric, all of that with the building itself is a hazard. factually speaking, if we put even that aside, do you really need another facility to house animals? Let me tell you some facts. The Humane Society in 2003 had over 6,000 animals come through our shelter, 20,000 countywide. Today, 2024, we had 1,800. And in the last 10 years, because of the low amount of animals coming through Brevard County, we have taken, in the last 10 years, over 3,500 animals from other counties, from other states, all the way even Puerto Rico and other areas. Also today, I have Susan Naylor in the audience. She is the executive director of the SPCA, and I received information from her as well. The SPCA is located in Titusville. Imagine that. It's a really beautiful facility. They are also a 40-year-old organization, and they, too, have had excessive room for animals. In the last 5 years, they annually average taking in about 2,000 animals. And in a last 5-year period, they took in 3,200 animals from outside of our community. I don't see where you would want to have another group come in and try to put all of their efforts into this dilapidated building that should have been destroyed when the sheriff left. My recommendation is to let's not repeat history. Please demolish the building, sell it, give the property to Roads and Bridges because it is connected to Roads and Bridges. I'm sure they need to put culverts or stuff on it. I mean, or you can sell it or do whatever you like with it. But quite frankly, it just aggravates me, and I'm really sorry I went over my time, but this is something that really drives me insane. I try and stay in my area, but the animals, if we're killing any of them, somebody needs to tell me where they are because I'm still taking them in from other areas.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hold on, question.
Commissioner Goodson for a question, sir.
Question, if you're taking animals from other countries, other counties, other states, are the taxpayers of Brevard paying for that?
That's the beauty of it. Neither SPCA nor the Humane Society receives a dime from taxpayers. We operate on our own.
Good.
We are self-supporting and self-sustaining. I don't even think that the people that want to take on this building understand we average $35,000 to $50,000 every month in the red in our shelter. That money comes from the services that and things we provide to the community in other ways. We have a low-cost spay, neuter, and wellness clinic. We have thrift shops. We have a bed and biscuit, doggy daycare, pet hotel. Those are things that help the community, low-cost income, help them, and it helps us to sustain. Okay. SPCA has the same budget, and if the people want to help, they really should go to those well-established organizations. And I've been a guardian ad litem 33 years. I think people that want to help kids should also become a volunteer with the guardian ad litem program. Don't go create your own new thing because we have some really great programs in our own community. So there's no point in creating more. There's just not enough support for it.
Another question, Chair.
Sorry.
Yes.
Ma'am, if they did create another thing, how would it hurt you?
It's not hurting us at all.
So then you have no...
I'm
if
sorry.
a guy wants a hamburger stand, but you have one and you don't want him to have one, is that what you're saying?
No, sir.
Well, it seems like that's what you're saying.
I'm sorry. Commissioner Goodson, have you ever been to the North Animal Care Center?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
Forever Friends?
Yeah, but you didn't answer the question. Why are you so adamant you don't want anybody else to have the same thing you got?
I'm not.
Okay, good. Then he can have it then, right?
It is the building itself that does
forget the
not
building.
need to be worked.
He could build a brand-new building, and you'd be happy, correct?
If he builds a brand-new building, sure, have at it.
All right, thank you, madam.
Commissioners, any other questions? Commissioner Atkinson.
Can you just give me a number? What does it cost to run the shelter? Just
Her
the number per
shelter,
year. Yeah, your
not
shelter, the one that you're
necessarily this
familiar, the one that you know.
The shelter itself, we put in about $1.5 million a year into it just to operate.
A year?
A year, every year, just to operate. That does not include maintenance, does not include repairs, does not include the $3 million I raised on the side to rebuild the front of the building that we are currently doing.
I have another question for
Commissioner
staff.
Atkinson.
I have a question for staff. I'm not sure who the right person is to ask
Do we have
this.
any more questions for Ms. Clifton?
Apologies.
No, it's
I do
okay.
not.
It's all right. It's all right. Any other questions? Ma'am, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so if there's follow-up questions for staff, Commissioner Atkinson.
Would there be any cost to the taxpayers if we, let's say this building was kept and it was leased out?
Commissioner, the way that we drafted the request for proposal, and obviously that assumes the board approves us to move forward, is that they would have to show their assets, the liquidity, their business plan, how they're going to be able to do it, but we would be offering no monetary value towards this. They would have to demonstrate that selection committee would then review those proposals, how they're going to actually address all of our concerns. There's going to be a requirement that they would have to do a mandatory walkthrough with us where we'll have PPE such as N95 masks because of the biohazards that you heard about. But at the end of the day, the selection committee will review it and then come back to the board with a recommendation to either accept it, reject it, or revise based on the committee's recommendations.
One more question for me. So then that's just going to be staff time to go through all of those applications?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Commissioner Delaney.
What about the code enforcement issues?
So right now, Commissioner, the City of Titusville Code Enforcement Office requires that we provide or resolve it by 9 June. We had discussions, we're having them through the county attorney's office, but if we provide a solid plan, we believe that there may be some additional flexibility there. And so one of the things that, as part of the proposal, they would have to address how they're going to actually rectify the code issues, and we would have to be convinced as a committee of that. We would then bring it forward to the City of Titusville.
Okay. We're done with the cards. I think any follow-up questions? And I think I asked this before, Mark. If that building were demolished, you wouldn't have an immediate plan for?
So as far as Public Works, Road and Bridge, not necessarily an immediate need. If the board were to consider the demolish option, my recommendation would be that we hold on the property. We are currently under a review process where we have an outside consultant doing a master plan looking at 3 of our road and bridge facilities, one of which is Flake Road. I would suggest that we certainly get rid of the building, but then hold short on what to do with the property until we get through that master plan evaluation.
But if we went that route, someday potentially you could have heavy equipment out there, storage of culverts, gravel, all of those things that you need.
Potentially, yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. All right, commissioners.
I was wondering, does anybody have any discussion over this? Because I feel like last time we really focused on the icky of the building.
No, I
just didn't know if you were going to call the motion.
No, ma'am. I was going to say we're in discussion here. So, Commissioner Delaney, you want to start that?
Sure. So, like I said before, I'm not really sold on any which way. I have major concerns for the welfare of the animals, especially after Mark has, talked to me a lot about the condition of the building. He's been there, again, if I remember correctly, recently again, right? And I've had a lot more residents' input on this issue since it's been talked about so much. People are very concerned. I've only gotten, I haven't gotten any positive reach outs except for the people who want to take over this building. And it's, like I said, I'm not opposed to it, but it just, I really feel like with the ringworm and I learned some things about the drains. Do you know if the building has individual drains or like a trough type drain for the kennels?
Has both.
Both. Okay. So learning about, parvo situations, if one of the animals gets parvo, any dogs along those drains would have to get put down because of the nature of that disease. And so that's really concerning. So I don't know if that is part of the renovations, that they would have to get rid of those drains and only have the individual drains on the, in the kennels.
So Commissioner, right now, that wasn't necessarily something contemplated, but if the board decides to move forward with this, we were requesting revisions to the draft request for proposal. We could make sure they identify or address how they would overcome that, whether that's removal or some other mitigation.
Thank you.
Commissioner Goodson.
We're still in discussion,
Yes,
is that
sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have nothing at this time. I have a motion to make, though, when you get ready.
Okay. Any further discussion? I'll just share a couple of thoughts. Just when I go down to Road and Bridge in my district, it has over the years been surrounded by City of Melbourne. So they have that challenge that we had to enter into an agreement with Melbourne, right, to hook up to new water. So, these things happen, and so in the future, just thinking about the kind of needs up there, if you ended up with the property, and I think the worst, that would happen if we demolish the building, is that you're going to end up with more space to store more equipment in the future, and you might not need it. That would be in the worst in my mind. So. Commissioner Goodson, I guess we'll entertain your motion, sir.
Okay. The motion would be that we allow the county to demo the building and the attorney to work with the city of Titusville, and we keep it as our property to further need, or either at a time we wish to sell it or lease it.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Goodson. We have a second by Commissioner Atkinson. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Altman,
Yes.
Chairman Felton.
Yes. Commissioners will show that passes 5-0. Thank you for that. We will move into I3. Frank?
Yeah,
Sir.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is for the confirmation of Tad Calkins as an Assistant County Manager of the Development and Environmental Services. Mr. Calkins has, 30 years experience in planning and development, 10 with Osceola County, the last 20 with Brevard County. He's performed very well as a department director for the last 8 years, and so I believe he's well prepared to take on the position of Assistant County Manager of that group.
Commissioners, are there questions?
I have one.
You have a question?
Not a question, but just a statement.
Are there any questions? Okay. I don't think we have any cards. We'll go into discussion. Commissioner Delaney.
I just wanted to say to Tad and Billy, thank you so much for allowing me to make you guys public. I just really feel like, especially in our director positions, the community should know about it, and sometimes on the consent agenda it gets hidden. So I just want to say thank you for all the help you've given me over this time, and I also thank you for being so kind and being okay with me making this so public. So thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion to confirm?
I would happily make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion
I'll
by
second
Commissioner
it.
Atkinson. We have a second by Commissioner Goodson. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson.
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Altman,
Yes.
Chairman Felton.
Yes. Tad, congratulations to you, sir. We appreciate your many years.
Thank you, Board.
Hope it's everything you've dreamed of. Okay. Let's go to I4.
Okay.
Frank.
Thank you. I4, we now have the Planning and Development Department Director position, and I'm asking for the confirmation of Billy Prasad as the Planning and Development Department director. He has served in the capacity of deputy director since November of 2023. Prior to that, he served as a year as the strategic operations manager in that department. He has his law degree from Stetson, and he's been a successful participant and advocate for the Executive Leadership Institute as well as Lean Six Sigma Green Belt. He's participated in the department in helping them achieve some significant improvements in how they operate through participation as leading and then as members on various projects, most recently as sponsoring some of those projects. So we're looking for confirmation of Mr. Prasad.
Okay, Commissioners, we do have one card. Are there questions? No questions. Okay, Sandra Sullivan.
Good evening, Sandra Sullivan, South Patrick Shores. So I have some heartburn on this one because Mr. Prasad comes from Tobias's office with all the controversies and investigation on that office. And in particular, on some of the items coming forward, I have objected to the conversion of intensity use of properties in Live Local to what that would represent in terms of density. There's no such thing as conversion. But it's kind of interesting after pushing back, he goes, oh yeah, I have documents to support this. So he provides it to me, he doesn't. And come to find out this legislative session, it looks like they're going to approve that. So isn't that interesting? So I'm just wondering if there's any puppeteers behind the scenes. Thank you.
Okay, that was the only card that we had on that item. Is there any discussion? I know Billy to be an amazing human being, and I worked with his wife, Bethany, her first real job when we both worked for Representative Workman, so I've known them both a long time. Commissioners, any other discussion on this item? Commissioner Atkinson.
So I just wanted to say, for those of you who don't know him, being a brand new commissioner and sitting with him with constituents, talking about things that I have very little understanding, you have been a great teacher, but you've also been a really amazing advocate for the people who've come into my office looking for help. So I appreciate everything you do for the residents to help them get what they need. So thank you.
Okay, is there a motion on?
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Commissioner Delaney. We have a second by Commissioner Altman. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Altman,
Yes.
Chairman Feltner.
Yes. Congratulations, sir. Okay, Commissioners, we're going to move on to item I-5. This is my item, and so we're certainly open to discussion on interim county manager. Are there questions on this? We don't have any cards. We'll go into discussion. Is there discussion on this item?
If you wouldn't mind, Commissioner Feltner, I'd love to hear you since this is your item. I was just wondering what your thoughts were on this.
What I'm prepared to do tonight is make a motion for Jim Liesenfeld. He's worked for the county for many years, and we're going through a phase of transition here from Frank's leadership to going through a county manager search, and I think continuity is good, and so I think Jim is the right guy. He has my full confidence, and I think we should confirm him tonight as the interim county manager.
If that is actually a motion, I would second it.
If we're done in discussion, I'll make that a motion.
And I will second it.
Okay, we'll take that as the motion, and we have a second by Commissioner Atkinson. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Altman,
Yes.
Chairman Feltner.
Yes. Jim, We're going to go through some tough things together, but I know you're very capable. Thank you. Congratulations. We applaud you, sir.
I hope you're ready for us.
Thank you.
I know you had some thoughts. Did you want to say anything on that? No?
If you indulge me, because some
Okay,
of the
sir.
staff wrote some of the thoughts. So,
Okay.
but, no, I put in, Brevard County is my home. My wife is a public school teacher, but public service is pretty important to our family. We've raised our kids here, so we'll do whatever we need. We're happy to do whatever the county needs us to do. I do want to put in, Frank's been a great leader and accomplished many great things, and with the leadership we have out there and our staff, we'll continue doing a tremendous job for the board, for the community, and for the county as we go through the selection process.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate
Thank
that
you.
very much. Commissioners, we're going to move on to I-6. This is going to be an open discussion on the county manager selection process. We gave you some information at a prior meeting about how the board approached this in 2017, sort of as a guide for you. So we do have one card on this issue, but let's do questions first. Are there questions on the selection process? Anyone in questions?
I have a question.
No? Okay, well, let's go to the card. That's okay. I didn't know. Oh, you have you have a question? No? Okay. Sandra Sullivan.
I don't understand this. So you haven't had a discussion yet about this, so it's hard for me to come up here and comment. But General Sandra Sullivan, South Patrick Shores. I'd like to see this as broad as possible. Select the best candidate and not to artificially limit it to the county. I saw the article in the paper, and that just raised my hackles to no end. We need the best person for this job, and certainly there's a lot of concerns with the degree of malfeasance and issues that have been going on in Brevard for too long that frankly need to be cleaned up, and maybe somebody from outside the area might be good to do that. But it just makes sense to take the best person and not to artificially limit it to somebody locally. And I'll just say for the record, the one person that I absolutely do not want to see as even being considered for this job is what I call Boot Barker from Satellite Beach. We do not need that. She was there as one of the facilitators of the whole embeds deal and a lot of other unsavory things that have gone on in Brevard County. And so I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners in discussion. Commissioner Delaney.
So I actually have a little bit of experience in a similar search. As you all know, I was very involved in the school board and was extremely involved and had a lot of input throughout the entire process that they had finding a new superintendent. And I figured that's pretty similar to what we're doing here today, or what we're doing in this search for county manager. And the process that they went through was just so extensive. They went for a national search. They had extensive interviews with people, loads of citizen input. By the time it whittled down to, I believe it was the top 5, each of the school board members got individual time with each of the applicants. But throughout the entire process, the school board was the selection committee. And I really feel passionately that the 5 of us should have equal input into this process. And even from dwindling down let's say we get 100 applicants, even dwindling down to the 50, to the 10, to the 5, to the whatever we decide as the dwindle down numbers, I really just feel like we should all have opportunity to participate in that and have an equal voice in that. And I really feel passionately about a national search because one of the things that I spoke about when I got sworn in was one of my main missions was to build the public trust. And somebody, from Brevard County may be our next county manager. We don't know. We haven't decided yet. But one of the ways that we can work on building that public trust is by saying we went through the most extensive process and the most fair and open process, and we know without a shadow of a doubt that this person is the best person for the job. And so that's my pitch.
I think you said it very well. Thank you. Okay. Other in discussion. Other thoughts. This is an open discussion. We're gonna need to agree on some things here. So I'm looking for input.
I have a question for staff.
Okay, follow-up question.
What is the cost difference from a local to a national search? Do we have any idea?
It would be fairly minimal, except for maybe travel costs bringing people in.
Do we have any other follow-up questions? The idea of a consultant that would help us through this process, is that something, Commissioner, you want to speak to that?
Sure,
Okay.
yes. I think that's what we were kind of talking about tonight, was to go through a consultant, and we would, at least in my mind, what my thoughts would be is that we would meet with the consultant in some sort of fashion. I'm not sure with Sunshine if it has to be a public meeting or a workshop or whatever that has to look like, but that we could meet with the consultant and kind of share, all of us, our hopes and thoughts and everything else for the process. And at that point, the consultant would work their magic, put out the search with our parameters, and then they'd give us back the results.
Okay, I mean, I think if we met together as a board with the consultant, we would have to do some kind of workshop. If you were meeting one-on-one, I'm sure at some point they're going to come to your office and, for follow-up, and I have other questions, et cetera. I think that's a different thing, but certainly not opposed to a roundtable discussion with a consultant. Let me ask, during this prior, I think some municipalities have been through this recently. You mentioned the school board. Are there certain items from that you think were good or you like better than others?
Well, I loved the fact that we had a citizen, basically like an open house, that the citizens got to come in, they got to meet the finalists, they got to talk to them, and it was really great because then the citizens were able to give their input back to the board, and it just was really community driven, and I really loved that fact. And the other thing that's in this proposal that we were given at the last meeting, it says, and this is just really a tiny thing, 6 copies of the proposal. If we could just make sure that it's electronic also, that the that way it has the most visibility for the residents.
Okay, we'll make note of that. So maybe Frank, how do we start the process with a consultant guiding us through this?
Well, we've given you a draft of what was utilized the last time. Hopefully, we were looking to see if the board was comfortable with the the selection criteria, which looked at the evaluation criteria, looking at quality and thoroughness of the proposal, which was 10%. Qualification, experience, and workload was 30, and there's a variety of bullets that were under that. The scope of the work, how they were going to do it, the methodology that they would use, which would address some of the issues that you just raised in terms of meeting individually with commissioners, meeting with the public, coming back and showing you how they were going to advertise it, get the board's thumbs up on that, and then move forward with the advertising. They would screen. As a matter of fact, the last time, as I recall it, as best as I can, the board had full participation in determining who's going to be on there. As a matter of fact, the board left it upon themselves that any commissioner could add someone, even if they weren't on the list that was recommended by the consultant, so that you could do that. Of course, it would come back to the board for a vote, and then you would screen down from there, and that would all be open in the public, and it would be the board making the decision of, you know, who ultimately to interview. So if the board is comfortable with that, we can put that together. And I believe the last time we had the HR director, the county attorney, and perhaps, and also a commissioner appointed by the board to serve on this screening committee that would evaluate the consultant's responses to the RFP. And that would bring it back to the board to select who you wanted to move forward with, and I would suggest we jump on it. We'll try to get you that.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I think that that's the part that I felt a little uncomfortable with. I really, if I'm hearing you right, I would rather go through a workshop with the consultant, with the 5 of us, versus having a subcommittee bring us recommendations? Or is this
That's not
just
what
for
I'm
the
saying.
consultant?
I'm talking about the selection of the consultant. Okay. The other process is going to be, it's all going to come to the board, so yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure of that.
If you're good
Thank
with-
you.
And plus, that's, the committee for the selection of the consultant is only going to evaluate the RFPs and then come back to the board with a recommendation, the full board. The one, if you choose to have the one commissioner serve on it, would come back and say, this is who we're going to recommend, and the full board will make the decision as to who the consultant is.
Okay, so could we do this tonight? Could we direct staff to put together that proposal of what we would go out and do the RFP for the consultant? We'll bring it back here the next meeting. We can amend it. We'll discuss it. We'll amend it as necessary. Okay, so we'll start with that tonight. So sound good? Okay.
Because we can then hold on, once the consultant's on board, you go over the consultant, the criteria for the process that you're going to utilize, whether
Right.
it's a national search, whatever.
Okay. All right. Commissioners, based on that,
Are you moving that's your motion?
I'll make that motion. That's what we're going to proceed with. Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay. So so I make the motion. Commissioner Goodson seconds. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney.
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson.
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson.
Yes.
Commissioner Altman.
Yes.
Chairman Felton.
Yes. Commissioners will show that passes 5-0. Thank you for that tonight. I was getting there too. Okay, so let's take a 5-minute break here. Thank you. Okay, commissioners, we're going to go to J1. J1. Mark, you recognize, sir, on J1.
Thank you. Commissioners, this is a resolution for maintenance map for a portion of Irwin Avenue in Mims in District 1. These portions have been supported by maintenance logs back to 1972 by Public Works, where we've maintained approximately 50 feet or more. And so the purpose of filing the maintenance map is to really just enumerate and document what the county already owns by fee simple ownership based on Florida statute 95.361. This is not necessarily, or this is not an opportunity or a referendum on the project itself. This is tied to a development known as Orchard View subdivision. If this moves forward, the developer is going to pave a section in front of their frontage, and it remains and will remain county maintained right away.
Okay, commissioners, questions? Are there any questions on the item? I don't have any cards. Discussion.
So this unfortunately was a development that was passed a long time ago in the mid to late 2000s. Every single piece of this development is done, ready. The cake is baked, unfortunately. So this is a necessary thing that we have to do. It goes against everything that I want, but unfortunately, it's what we have to do. So with that, I would, if there's no other discussion, I would like to make a motion to pass.
Anyone else need to say anything
approve.
on this? No? We have a motion by Commissioner Delaney. Is there a second? Okay. I will second. We need to do this, right? Okay. I will second. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney.
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson.
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson.
Yes.
Commissioner Altman.
Yes.
Chairman Feltner.
Yes. Okay, we'll show that passes 5-0. Thank you. Okay, commissioners, we will go to, you know what, let's do J3 because I think that's probably quicker. We don't have any cards on that. We have a lot of cards on J2. So this is my item. I'll say quickly, this is a duplication of services. We have a lobbyist, that's Ron Book. We don't need to pay the 5 lobbyists at FAC. It's $68,500 approximately. And my motion would be that we would move that instead over to fire rescue. So are there questions? Commissioner Delaney, do you have a question?
I have discussion.
Okay. Anyone, any other questions? Okay, we don't have any cards in discussion.
So I feel a little pulled in each direction for this one because I don't always typically agree with the direction of this organization nor the League of Cities. I think that there's a lot of influence from the global community on those organizations and organizations like it. But my hope was being, since I was put on this board, I haven't gotten to participate yet because they haven't had any meetings yet. My hope was to find other like-minded people to, go up and fight with a bigger voice to Tallahassee against some of these home rule violations that are going on. I feel like this has a different operation than our lobbyist, because our lobbyist is not going to Tallahassee to push back against home rule or the violation of home rule. He's not going up there and pushing back on legislation that is going through, and at least not that I know of. So I think that it has some value. Our county hasn't participated in this for a long time, and now we finally have a commissioner who's willing to put the time in. So my hope would be that we could give us a short opportunity to see if there's any value, since I'm willing to do the participation, and come back to this at a later time. I could bring a report back, and I could say, these are, after, participating, these are my findings, and give a recommendation to the board about, if we should continue or not.
Anyone? Sir?
If you know anything about Tallahassee and you know anything about this organization, they will tell you anything you want to hear if you're in Tallahassee. If you want to know anything about home rule, or you want to fight home rule, you need to be calling your local legislators, looking at where they get their money from, pulling up their money, and you'll see exactly why they vote and exactly how they vote. Therefore, you might be able to do something with them. Your local League of Cities and Association of Counties, are they going to do anything to help Brevard? I'm not too sure that you could comment on that. Now, you can go up there and spend a lot of time. I would suggest you go on the days they have their parties. A lot more fun, if you go those days.
I've spent a lot of time actually in Tallahassee through my years of advocacy with issues like parental rights and different school board issues, Second Amendment issues, all sorts of things. And so I understand the hustle and bustle of what it takes to get a bill through the legislature. I spearheaded the movement to get the recall of school board members included not only in our county charter, but in our state constitution. So that took 2 years of hard work and working with our local state reps. Shout out to State Rep Soroy and now Congressman Randy Fine for helping, with that mission. And, so I understand it's a lot of hard work. What I'm saying is I'm willing to put in the hard work.
Commissioner Altman in discussion, sir.
I think this organization, as well as the National Association, has a great deal of value. It's an opportunity for county commissioners to come together and share ideas, to learn, to work together. They don't always agree. Sometimes they disagree. But that's beneficial, too, to see some of the divergent thought and to understand where they're coming from. But I found it to be a great learning experience. When I was a freshman member, I really learned a lot and got a lot of ideas. Organizations do. One of the areas is through model legislation, and I just think they have a lot of value. I think for the money that we spend, it's a great investment. I think we're very fortunate to have a commissioner who's willing to put in the time. I think could pay great dividends. So I would oppose removing from these organizations. Gosh, we have an issue we talked about tonight, finding a new county administrator. There's a lot of resources there in these organizations, state and national, to help find qualified staff. So I understand where you're coming from, but I do think the organization has a lot of benefit.
Sir, I would also suggest to you, though, that we are compulsory members of the Eastern Florida Regional Planning Association. We pay them $130,000. That's mandated by the legislature, so we don't have a choice in that. I would be doing this same motion if I had that opportunity, and I don't. But I do have the opportunity on this one because it's not compulsory. So, is there other discussion on this item? Okay. I will make a motion that we move the $68,507 to fire rescue and that we end our participation in Florida Association of Counties. Okay, there's a second by Commissioner Goodson. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney.
No.
Vice Chair Goodson.
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson.
Yes.
Commissioner Altman.
No.
Chairman Feltner.
Yes. Commissioners, will show that passes 3-2. Thank you. Okay. J2.
If I could, I just wanted to ask for a point of order. Commissioner Feltner, I'm curious as to, you've made a lot of motions tonight, and as chair, it hasn't been precedent for the chair to do that, and so I'm wondering what's the change?
The chair can make motions and second. There is no rule against that. I haven't done that as chair, but tonight on some of these issues, I think it's important to move them forward.
Because in the past, you've said on the dais that you don't feel comfortable with doing that, and that you're not, that's not something you're going to be doing. So I'm just, surprised. That's all.
I think we're in some difficult times, and we need to move some things along. So I've said what I needed to on the Association of Counties. I think the better use for that. So I appreciate what you're saying, but there is no rule against the chair making a motion. Okay, item J2. Commissioner Atkinson, you're recognized.
Thank you. If I may, could I ask our county attorney to just give a little bit of history on how embeds came to be and what it is, if you don't mind, Morris?
Yes, Commissioner. The North Brevard Economic Development Zone, sometimes called embeds or the zone, was created in 2011 by the Board of County Commissioners, primarily through two ordinances. The first ordinance created a trust fund and a tax increment funding source, and a subsequent ordinance created a structure of governance for a board that would manage it. Embeds is a special, what's known as a dependent special district of the county, meaning it's a creation of Brevard County. It was created by the Board of County Commissioners. It can be dissolved by the Board of County Commissioners by ordinance. It is a cooperative organization with the city of Titusville, because embeds also includes the corporate boundaries of the city of Titusville. Titusville appoints members to the embeds board. There's an interlocal agreement between Brevard County and the city of Titusville, and the city of Titusville has implemented its own tax increment funding and contributes to a trust fund, revenues generated within the city as well for the economic development mission of embeds. Back when it was created, it was in the wake of NASA's space shuttle program, and the principal goal was facilitating job growth and economic development in the north portion of Brevard County after the end of the space shuttle program.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Troy here tonight too, if we have questions for him. Are there questions? Commissioner Delaney for a question?
While Troy's getting to a seat, I'll ask Commissioner Atkinson. First of all, I wanted to say thank you so much for finding sacrifices for District 1. And I was wondering, do you have any sacrifices in your own district that you've thought about?
So, you're very welcome. At the moment, no, I'm going through the different programs that have been brought to my attention. My job right now, as I see it, is to figure out how to help get the money for the crisis that we now have, which is fire rescue. We need recurring money, and that's what this is. It doesn't mean that embeds is going away, because as our attorney said, Titusville will be able to still continue their portion should they choose to do so.
For Titusville.
What's interesting to me is how successful embeds has been. as I understand it, and Troy, please correct me if I'm wrong, the unemployment in Titusville is down 74% from when the shuttle crisis originally happened. And that's significant, and that shows that the project did its job in that crisis. Right now, we are having another crisis, and I am suggesting that we move money from one crisis to another. Brevard County residents all pay in this.
Into
Also, I
ed beds?
understand that the Milken Institute has decided that now we rank 9th, when we used to be 177th when this was first created. There's lots of redundancy in this, right? We have our chambers of commerce. We have the EDC, even the TDC to some degree brings as much as they can to the area. So with SpaceX, with Blue Origin, with Space Florida, I believe that right now it's a time that we need to decide how we're going to redistribute taxpayer funds to the current crisis at hand.
Were you saying that the entire county pays into embeds?
What I'm saying is that it's taxpayer money.
I'm sorry. Are you saying that the entire, if you can answer my question?
Why don't we let staff answer that question? They're
Well,
better
it's
at
something
that than
that
me.
you said, so that's why I'm
I
asking.
said it's taxpayer money.
No, you said the entire county. And just because I know the answer to that, it's only the properties within the zone that pay into this. Is that correct, Troy?
So I will try to answer that, but I will tell you that I am very eager not to make a misstep that could be interpreted as advocacy for the zone. I'm here merely try to answer questions as factually as I can and let the county commission decide. But the way in which our TIF structure is, we get a portion of the valuation and property taxes in the north end, the specified geographic area that is the special district. So.
Thank you. And one of the things you also said was that it's redundant. And so were you aware that one of the major missions of the North Brevard Economic Zone was to deal with redevelopment and blighted areas?
Let me say this. The county commission's job is not necessarily economic development. Really, safety is one of our core priorities.
I agree, 100%.
And so that's where I am saying that this money needs to go to. That's all.
If you could just answer my question. Were you aware of that one of the core missions is to deal with redevelopment and blight?
Commissioner, I think she answered your question.
She
We have
didn't. Yes or no is the answer.
She gave an answer. It might not be the one that you want, but if we could go on to the other ones.
Troy,
we do have several cards.
if you don't mind, is that true? Is that one of the core functions of the North Brevard Economic Development Zone?
So in the plan, the strategic plan that was approved by both the City Council of Titusville and the Brevard County Commission back in 2012, it does include a redevelopment component.
And infrastructure, right?
And under the strategic initiative section of that plan, we could do infrastructure improvement projects.
Thank you. Okay, I'm done with questions for now. Thank you.
Are there other questions? Other questions? All right, we'll go to the. Okay.
Commissioner, didn't you ran on killing in beds when you ran for election, correct?
So it started out that way, and throughout.
So you've changed your mind?
So if I can finish my answer.
Sure,
sir.
you've changed your mind, right?
If I could finish my answer.
Let her
Yeah, answer yes or no.
So my answer is yes. When I wasn't fully informed, I advocated for the dissolution of NBEDS. Once I met with our executive director, Mr. Post, my opinion changed, and I actually made a video, and it's on my campaign page still, that residents have actually shared recently. And it talked about how I felt that this was a secret, that the special interests have used this money over time. And that's why, you know, and I felt, and I said this in that video, I felt that this needed to be redirected to focus on small businesses, redevelopment, and the great things that Troy and his team are doing now. And so, like everything, we grow and learn. Okay. And so, you know,
So excuse me, go ahead.
Sure, go ahead.
So you're for it now, is that a correct statement?
Well, it depends. It really depends, because if we're talking about, you know, because what NBEDS really is a combination of a CRA and an economic development committee. That's pretty much what NBEDS is. It's both entities in one. And if we're talking about you know, getting rid of economic development and growth in North Brevard and getting rid of the entity that is going to help with redevelopment, I would not be for that, especially if we are not looking at this as a county as a whole, because as a county as a whole, we can actually fix the firefighter issue with the $12+ million, the $7.3 million that you all get to enjoy in your districts. So why is District 1, here's a question for you. Why is District 1 bearing the brunt of this issue? And where was your input, fellow commissioners, in funding our fire department?
Chairman?
Sir, go ahead.
Well, District 1 isn't bearing the brunt of it because the park.
Where's Myra on here?
Hang on, okay? Because some of your District 1 is in District 2 paying the bill. And the money is coming from the general fund, which is the total county.
But it comes from the businesses in the economic development zone, in the boundary.
But don't say, excuse me, Chair.
Yes, sir.
Don't say District 1 because District 2 has the Exploration Park over there, which is the biggest thing. That's in District 2.
I agree with you.
So don't just limit it to District 1 then, okay?
It is just District 1 because you still
It
have
is?
Myra.
District 2 is involved in it, madam.
I understand
So it's not
that,
just District
but
1.
if you could let me understand, or let me
I'm
explain,
waiting patiently.
explain this. District 2 has a total of $5.2 million in CRAs, including Myra. So where is that on this agenda item? District 3 and 5 had $1.7 million in their CRAs. Where's that item on this?
Well, I guess like District 1, since it's the culprit of everything and it's the who's who of the world, Myra funds the bridge repair on Merritt Island, Myra funds infrastructure, Myra funds road building, Myra funds the cleanup on State Road 3 there far. So everybody's doing their part, but it's not just your ball game, it's our ball game, okay?
Well,
We're
then
all
I
in
would
this
like some
together.
participation from the hour. Let's add this thing up to $12 million then and really fund our fire department.
Okay, we were on questions. We do have several cards. I think we should go to the cards and then we can discuss it further. So let's do the cards. Jack Ratterman.
Good evening. My name's Jack Ratterman. I live on North Merritt Island. I'm part of the North Merritt Island HOA. I'm on the North Merritt Island Special District Board, and I was on the Myra board. So when you talk about Myra is the only thing good happening on Merritt Island. Everybody else has a city, and Merritt Island is the stepchild of the whole county. We put in the major amount of money into the county cauldron, and we get the least back. You show me what Merritt Island gets back that the rest of you already have. We don't have a community center. Where's our community center? We didn't get one. That's because you people all got a city working for somebody in there. The only people we have working for us is Myra. And the only reason we got an amphitheater is because Myra stepped in and used all the influence they could get. Debbie Mayfield and Tyler Soroy stepped in, and they brought the money in there. That's the only reason we got it. And as far as this NBES stuff, it's a rip. We're going to support the 2 richest people on Earth. You know, help them put a spaceship up. Help them do what? They're already going to put in $7 million worth of fill, and they're already going to flood North Merritt Island. They're the worst neighbors we have. We already know from past board meetings that they want us to build a septic system. Okay, you can improve yours to the tune of $130 million, and we don't want to pay for none of it. However, if NASA or SpaceX built theirs, it would be $350 million. So they're getting a heck of a deal. And then NBES, what do? I don't see anything. Economic development, I would like to see who was employed. You're saying that unemployment went down. Well, who got employed? Where are the figures? I don't hear anything about that. You could say, you know, anybody got employed. What was it? You make an intelligent and smart decision. You want to put some money in the fire department budget, then X these guys out. Do what you're supposed to. You know, think about the firefighters. What is NBES? You're going to call them to put the fire out or get you off the couch after you have a heart attack? Good luck.
Thank you, sir. Aaron McDaniel.
Thank you, Commissioners. Aaron McDaniel. I'm here to give you my experience with NBEDS. I've worked in Brevard County for over 20 years. I served as the engineer for the Titusville Cocoa Airport Authority. I've served on a team with Space Florida and others to try to coax Space Command from the Space Force to come to North Brevard. I come to you with those experiences. I'm also a service-disabled veteran and a small business owner. I also employ employees here in North Brevard County and South Brevard County. I come to you just to share that experience that in my time working with NBEDS, I have seen a very positive experience. I think on a macro level, some of the difficulties we had when we were working with Space Force on the team that the governor put together was that there wasn't good share of information about North Brevard, about the emergency services that are offered, about the capabilities of utilities and other things like that. And the zone actually helped with our team to kind of put some information together so that we could bring those kind of macro business opportunities to North Brevard. At a more micro level, I can share my experience. We are a general contracting firm. Actually, I just started a second business doing electrical service work and plumbing work. My story is that really specifically with the Valiant Air Command project that the NBEDS is helping to fund, my business has been able to hire local employees and really get off the ground. And I, have the Valiant Air Command and NBEDS and others that put money into this to thank for that. I'd also say that, there are many other small businesses in the North Brevard area. I would tell you to go look through the area of North Brevard and where the zone's at. And there are several other businesses that had gotten grants from NBEDS and really done quite well because of that opportunity. So that's just my humble way of sharing my story and why I think that NBEDS has served a purpose.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Janice Scott.
Janice Scott, Cocoa Beach. As you know, Cocoa Beach had a referendum. The people made it important that the city had to vote on whether or not they wanted a CRA. We'll talk about the special district. It's the same thing. I looked at the map. The special district goes from State Road 528 all the way to Mims, from the Atlantic Ocean west to Orange County. This is obscene, really. We are a county. Why are certain people given these kinds of privileges? I understand when the shuttle program wound down and everything, there was an issue. That's no longer an issue. These things need to sunset. As a matter of fact, while I was sitting here, I Googled a Florida initiative that states that, and I'll read it to you. In Florida Community Redevelopment Agency, CRAs are set to be phased out by July 1st, 2025 or September 30th, 2045, whichever comes first, and are prohibited from starting new projects or issuing new debt after October 25. Blah, blah, blah. You know what the history of CRAs. This was an initiative back in the day when COCO was called Little Vietnam. It has been very successful there. It's so successful, they need to sunset. You know, every time taxes are abated for one, somebody else, 2 or 3, get to pick up the bill. And that is not fair to the rest of the residents of Brevard. I understand that Merritt Island, why they are upset, because they're included in the district, but they barely get the trickle down. And so, you know, really, the vote needs to be to eliminate NBES. We need to do that all over the state. I'm all for, if you know the companies that are there, United Space Allowance, Blue Origin, SpaceX, come on, give me a break. If one disclosure that's never asked, and you all weren't on the board in 2011, but who are the shareholders? Who are the elected officials now that may have shares in SpaceX or Blue Origin or something that are voting on these things? Give me a break. Please eliminate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Watkins. Whoever thought we'd have this kind of moment, Mary?
Thank you,
We went to
Commissioner
school
Felder.
together.
I am Mary Watkins. I have 2 properties on North Merritt Island, and I am a lifelong resident of Brevard County, having been born before NASA developed. I have watched collapse of the missile industry when the Apollo went away. I understand the initiative here, and yes, we did need to do something for the economic, but that was, according to the records that I'm hearing, 2011. It is now 2025. I believe it's time that money went other places and not continued to be passed around to additional sources like that. If the money needs it for the fire department, let's put it there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Sandra Sullivan.
Sandra Sullivan, South Patrick Shores. This binder is from the Brevard Coalition from back in the day. Wealth of information. Encourage you to go to Waves Action. I've been posting some of it. There's a lot more to come. Fundamentally, this NBEDS was created as an enterprise zone. That was a promise. It's not. Enterprise zones are governed by Florida statute. It's not listed as an enterprise zone. It's a bait and switch. It's basically a CRA. So the concern by the Brevard Coalition was fundamentally that the monies going from District 1 would end up, so you're taking that out of the general fund, that the other districts would end up picking up that tab, picking up the monies that needed for the services in District 1. That's come true. So the core issue, as people said, was the recovery of the shuttle program. By Florida statute, you have to do a findings of need. That hasn't been fulfilled. We don't need NBEDs anymore. And in fact, if you want to address the affordable housing issue and keeping Brevard affordable, you need to keep taxes down. To keep taxes down, you need to keep the money in general fund. I want to just also say that the one thing that would be really great right now is to Doge it, to have people look at. I've looked at the projects. I'm looking at projects, and I see some of these have not succeeded. One of the big issues of the Brevard Coalition was the conflicts of interest, and the board commissioners appointing business partners, and that was very well detailed out. Another issue, this is back in 2011, the tax increment broken down, the CRAs by district. And so 40% at that time was District 2. The amount of the CRAs for the entire county is about the same as what was going to NBEDS. So, you know, one of the things we saw in the past was some fiscal analysis, and I think that would be good, you know, when you're coming up here to that there is presentations. This was very controversial back in 2011. There were 51 speakers, and it marginally passed as 2-3 vote. They are selling county land, which, you know, when you do that, you need a supermajority vote. So by state statute, there's a question that this may have needed to be a supermajority vote because this board is selling county land. Also, the biggest controversy with NBEDS is that they immediately did bond funding with the Space Coast Infrastructure Agency, which they created, and then they bond funded for Blue Origin, which clerk of court sued and won. NBEDS is full of controversies. From the day one, it's time to sunset this, and let's show that, you know, put things back where they should be, because this is not a critical need anymore, and our fire department is. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Sarah Hodge.
I think everything's been said by Sandra and several other people that have spoken against us keeping NBEDS. My husband, Bill Hodge, and Sarah Hodge would like to see it sunset and go, and the money go to the firefighters. They desperately need it. We need to start doing needs before wants. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Tuan Lee, sir? Sorry if I didn't get that right.
Yeah, you have it right. Thank you. My name is Tuan Lee, and I'm a small business owner from engineering to restaurant and property redevelopment. And I'm going to speak out the truth about the NBED. I have a good experience in the past, like 5 years ago, and I don't have a good experience 4 years ago. I have to blame it on the former Commissioner District 1, because I don't think they're doing a good job. But North Brevard Economic Development has done a good for small business, but in the past few years it has been focused more in big company. That's not what I want, because big company, if you focus on big company like Blue Origin, SpaceX, you are benefit investor in our state, in different place, and even they create job here. That means people from our state bring the job here. I mean, people from outside apply a job here, not locally here, because the small business people here, we're working hard and try to give a job and opportunity to local people. So I believe, because I'm here today because Ms. Delaney staff had called me and asked me about what I think about the small business, and I think she care for small businesses, which is a good thing, because let me give an example. After the COVID, Titusville had received $5 million, and that money is going to the Paris hospital. At the same time, 10 other local business had to be closed. With that $5 million, they can save more than 20 or 30 small business instead of benefit for the people who work there and stuff like that. So let me get back to small business, because right now, as when you start a business, it's really hard to start a small business. And the requirement from EDC is very tough for small business to comply. And then on top of that, if you are a redevelopment and you want to get money from the bank wants you to have at least 10% of cash in hand instead of give you the fund. So if the the North Brevard Economic Development change the way of do the business, work with Delaney, I believe on her right now because she's the one who convinced me to be here today. So I think she can do something to help the District 1 and to help the small business in the area to grow and save the small business, because I closed more than 5 business after the COVID because I don't get the support from EDC, I don't get the support from county, I don't get the support from the city, and this really ridiculous that the way that politics people done for the small business, instead of care small business, you guys care for a big company and make yourself look good when you tell the voter that you bring a big company here and you forget about small business. And I think this needs to be changed. And I want the North Brevard Economic Development to revise it and work together. And I believe on Ms. Delaney that what she tried to do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. David Shokes? Is it Shores or Shokes? Sorry.
Shores, like around the
Shores, okay.
Hello, folks. My name is David Shores. I'm on the board of directors of the Warbird Air Museum in Titusville. And we are in the process of building a 20,000 square foot event hangar, which will be tremendously beneficial to all of Brevard County, particularly North Brevard, for weddings and displaying airplanes and all kinds of events. This project never would have gotten off the ground without Troy Post and the North Brevard Economic Development Zone. Without their funding, we never would have been able to start the project. We are employing a lot of people. The people who are building it are employing a lot of people. And all the studies we did to prove that this was a good idea say that the county and the state and us will do very well financially throughout the year because this property will exist. So we're very in favor of North Brevard Economic Development Authority, and we think Troy Post has done a great job.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Questions? Okay,
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
folks.
you. All right, commissioners in discussion.
A lot of people talked about the influence on embeds on the space industry. And while it was heavily focused on the space industry in the past, what I've seen throughout my time as commissioner is a major shift in focus. And like one of the speakers talked about, one of the major shifts is that a lot of the focus has been on getting these small businesses going. One of the struggles that District 1 has that some of you may not understand is that we have the most amount of wetlands in North Brevard. We also have, I would guess, probably the most amount of undeveloped land in North Brevard. And when companies are deciding on where to go, they look at, are there site-ready places? Because companies, they're thinking of their bottom line. They're thinking of how quick can I get in there and start making money? And when we have some of the reason why North Brevard has trouble with enticing businesses is because of those challenges. Some of the things that Troy and his team have done, for instance, there's a a site that is going through right now that is on Highway 50, which is one of the main thoroughfares in Titusville. There was a lot that had a blighted building right across the street from Publix, and when the owners of the property went to go develop the land, they found that their $200,000 project is now turning into a $1 million project because they found huge chunks of concrete, construction debris, all sorts of things. So this simple project of just tearing up the land so that they could pour their pads for their businesses turned into this huge monster of a project. And thankfully, they came to the North Brevard Economic Development Zone for help, and so that way their project is able to continue. And there's so many things, good things that we are now doing, and I can't, speak to the things that happened in the past. I wasn't here. Frankly, I didn't agree with a lot of it, but. There's another project that's going on tonight at the city of Titusville, the Searstown Mall. Without the funding of NBEDS, that will continue to be a blighted, just dilapidated site right in the heart of Titusville. And we have unique challenges in North Brevard that the other districts don't have. Logan, if you wouldn't mind putting my slides up. So if you could go to the first one. This right here shows, this is from the budget presentation we just got. And this shows all the CRAs in the county. And it shows that $7.3 million, and only $350,000 of that goes to North Brevard. And that's because Titusville has one CRA. Contrary to popular belief, District 1 is a lot bigger than Titusville. So if we were to get rid of NBEDS, that would be our portion. Yes. If you could go to the next slide. I pulled data from the clerk's office. Since 2010, the total payments across the county for all the TIF payments, so that includes NBEDS, that includes CRAs, that includes MIRA, the total payments are $120 million across the county. The total North Brevard payments are $34 million, and this is since 2010. The payments did not start for NBEDS until 2013. All the other districts combined is $86 million. From 2013, that's when NBEDS got its first installment. I put together the numbers of, this is, again, from 2013 to present, $108 million across the county. North Brevard, and that's including NBEDS and the CRA, the Titusville CRA, $33 million. And all other districts combined, $73 million. If you wouldn't mind going to the next slide. Thank you. If we were to get rid of NBEDS, if everybody could look at that bottom chart, it shows that District 2 gets $5.2 million, District 3 and 5 together get $1.7 million, and North Brevard, District 1, gets $350,000. My request tonight is to remember why we're here. And we represent the citizens of this county. And I think that this is an extremely important decision for us to make. And like I said, if we're talking about everybody coming to the table and ponying up, I'm right there with you guys. $12 million, $13 million would make a huge dent in our fire department. Huge. And with the legislation that's probably going to be going through, CRAs aren't even going to be a thing anyway. So I really feel like I'm going to make a motion to table this item so that we can have citizen input on how they want us to proceed with this, because I think that this greatly affects our district, or our county as a whole. I think that it'll be a huge detriment, not only to my district, but to the whole county. And I'm asking you to think about, you know, anytime the ebbs and flows of the Space Center happen, anytime something happens, it's District 1 that bears the largest brunt of that. I remember during that time with the boarded up houses. My mom was a teacher at Space Coast Junior Senior High, and one of her students' families, the parents were so devastated that they not only shot their children but shot themselves. There were people living in the woods. It was a horrible, horrible, horrible situation for District 1. And if we're going to be looking at this to take care of our firefighters, then let's take care of them. Let's do it together as a county and actually make a huge dent, because $3 million is going to do nothing for our people. So that's my motion.
Is there further discussion? Further discussion? Okay. I think what's happened in the north end of the county in recent years is pretty amazing. Commercial space flight is here, and the kind of investment that's going to be made in the north end of the county will rival what was done in the 60s. So I think we're at the point. Well, it's been pretty well advertised that's the situation. Space Florida, the state of Florida, the kind of investments that they're making, it's in the billions of dollars. Naturally,
in District 1?
North County is going to be the largest beneficiary of that, because not everybody can live in Vieira who's going to be working on the space program. I think you have quite a lot of economic growth that's going to be coming to the north end of the county. Further discussion on the item? Is there further discussion?
I have a question.
Sir?
Point of order.
Yep.
Was there a motion
Yes.
to table?
To table.
No, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion to table by Commissioner Delaney. We have a second by Commissioner Altman to table. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Goodson,
No.
Commissioner Atkinson,
No.
Commissioner Altman,
Yes.
Chairman Feltner.
No.
I have a question. If I was wondering, just for the minutes, so that everybody is aware, how exactly do you plan on funding our fire department with $3 million?
It doesn't fund our fire department with $3.3 million in addition to the $68,507 tonight. I think that we are about a quarter of the way there with what fire, as I think I understand. No, 16 million isn't that where I think we're somewhere in that range. You help me out here a little bit. Something like that, and so we're approaching a quarter of the way, and so I think it's
A quarter of the way to what? With all due respect, we have not even come to the table for these poor people. We have strung them along for months and months and months. And now you're coming after my district?
I think we get a quarter of the way of their ask. We have.
There is no ask. There's nothing on the table right now. It's not a total different issue. You guys have made this about the fire department. So let's talk about the fire department.
Well,
the fact is that our fire department needs to get funded. So let's fund them. There's $13 million on the table.
We're going to be going through this summer. I can assure you. This is but one step. This is the first step.
So how do we broaden this?
I think it's a good faith effort that we're trying to get there.
So a try to get there to these people would be $13 million.
Commissioner,
not $3.3 million.
I don't think raising taxes should be the first choice. I
Where
think it
did
should
I
be
say that?
the last resort. I'm just saying, we're going to have quite a robust discussion about this this summer.
It seems
I
like
can
you
assure
and Commissioner Atkinson had a robust conversation about this.
Okay. All right. Is there?
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay. Okay.
Just in debate. Are we in debate?
Sir, go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to vote against the motion, and I want to talk a little bit why. I think the North Brevard Economic Development Zone provides an incredibly important public purpose. North Brevard is really important to the future of Brevard County, and there is significant infrastructure shortfalls in the North Brevard region. There are cultural needs in the North Brevard region. It is important for Brevard as a whole that we try to fill the gap and support what our Brevardians are doing in our county seat. Titusville is our county seat, and it is the identity of the space program, and I just think it's important we continue to support them, and I think the need is still there. I do understand the points that are made, but I think good economic development is important to the future of our county as a whole, and so I will vote against this motion.
Okay, sir. Appreciate that. Further discussion, or is there another motion?
I'd like to make a motion. I move to direct staff to prepare a statement of legislative intent regarding the discontinuation of county TIF payments to the NBEDS Trust Fund, the dissolution of NBEDS, and the refund of any uncommitted TIF funds on deposit in the NBEDS Trust Fund to the respective taxing authorities that contributed those funds, including the county.
So I have a question. I'm asking Commissioner Feltner, Commissioner Atkinson, and Commissioner Goodson, are you guys willing to speak about the CRAs in your districts?
I think we'll have a discussion of CRAs this summer. I envision that.
Why this summer?
I think because we're going to go through the budget process.
I'm asking to get our firefighters paid, which is what you guys say you want to do. Are you guys willing to put your CRAs on the I'm asking you a plain yes or no question.
I don't have a CRA in my district. I think there's one on the edge of it that's finishing up something. Commissioner, can't speak for the others. I would suggest to you that we should look at every funding opportunity that we can this summer when we go through the budget process.
So is that a yes?
I would look at every funding option available to us this summer. Wow. That's my answer. So I'll let the others answer. They choose to.
I think the public deserves to know the yes or no answer.
All right. I understand we have a motion on the table. I'm being reminded.
So are you guys refusing to answer that question, Commissioner Atkinson and Commissioner Goodson? For the public, for everybody that's watching right now?
Commissioner Delaney, we have a motion on the table, and I'd like to follow procedure.
Okay. We have a motion. Is there a second? Okay. Okay. We have a second by Commissioner Goodson. Clerk will call
So
the roll.
for discussion, because after you make a motion, in Robert's rules, you can have discussion after a motion is made. So again, I asked that question, Commissioner Atkinson, Commissioner Goodson, are you going to tell the public, Are you willing to put your CRAs on the table to fund our firefighters?
No comment.
So that's a no.
It's not no, it's a no comment.
Well, then-
The chairman said that we'll discuss it at a later date, did he not?
Is he my boss? No. We
I
are
will
all
assume-
duly elected here. Thank you.
Well, do you understand English?
Yes, I do understand
did you
English.
hear what he said?
And
All
I'm
right.
asking you a question.
And I told you. It will
Okay.
be discussed later, at a later time.
We had a motion and a second. Clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Delaney,
No.
Vice Chair Goodson,
Yes.
Commissioner Atkinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Altman,
No.
Chairman Feltner.
Yes, I will show that passes 3-2. All right, we will go to public comment. We have 3 cards on public comment. Susan Connolly.
Thank you. I'm Susan Connolly. I'm from Palm Bay. Tonight I want to speak on the Speak Up Brevard program. My 2025 Speak Up Brevard submission called for the creation of a Brevard County Board of Government Efficiency. I had no idea when I turned in my submission that Brevard County already had their Doge. Interestingly, the county's Doge program is the Speak Up Brevard program, where each submission is identified by a SEER number, SEER being Citizen Efficiency and Effectiveness Recommendation. By not knowing the complete name nor the purpose of the Speak Up Brevard program, it made me realize a couple things. First, how much I did not know about the unlimited opportunities of the Speak Up Brevard program. And second, how disconnected citizens are from the very operations and decision-making of our government. Since the March 3rd Speak Up Brevard workshop, I have been working with a group of citizens who also share these realizations. We have 2 goals: to review the Speak Up Brevard process from a citizen's perspective and provide actionable recommendations for improvement. And second, to rework our own SEER submissions so that our recommendations clearly identify the issue as well as present actionable, cost-effective solutions. Speak Up Brevard can become a showcase of best practice of efficiency and effectiveness in government operations. That was going to be the end of my comments. However, I would just like to say, based on the discussion I just heard, that the question is, why cannot businesses economically thrive? And I think the Speak Up Brevard program may hold the answer with efficiency and effectiveness. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Sandra Sullivan. I don't think you did the G section.
Okay, Sandra Sullivan, South Patrick Shores. Want to talk about the FUDS presentation by the Corps of Engineers tonight. It's kind of depressing how much they don't know. As many of you know, my group Waves Action, I was the lady that dug up all the military waste in our backyard. And yes, I thank you. I did get sick. I fell down 7 times a day and have been getting some medical assistance since with a lot of neurological issues. When they were asked, well, do you know what was buried there? And they said, no, we don't know. There was a DER report that was done by our state that was everything from munitions to chemicals to oil barrels. It's all detailed in there. They were asked, so what about the contamination? So in 1991, they did a study, and they found on Southeast First Street levels of benzene, apyrene, and other really nasty chemicals above the cleanup targets. And so they capped the wells. So and a little history about the FUDS site. So there were 500 applications for formerly used defense sites back around that time. We were the only one of 500 sites denied the FUDS eligibility. And interestingly, we're the only one with a class action suit for a cancer cluster. There was an EPA EPIC study, which was a study done on the aerial analysis of what was buried there. And we have firsthand accounts of a heavy machinery operator that missiles were buried, and there are large conical objects in those aerials. So there's actually a lot of data from the 90s, and I was lucky enough to have a local resident give me that. When I was doing the investigation, there were 4 people on Southeast First Street with ALS. We are world renowned for our levels of ALS, which for military bases is largely correlated or causation to the levels of chlorinated substances like trichlorinated ethylene and organochlorine pesticides. The EPA came into my yard. There's a smell in my yard that persists. It's not there all the time. And the EPA came in, and he thought it might have been benzene apyrene. The EPA came in and tested my yard, and they found 1,4-dioxane above the cleanup targets by my bedroom. And that level is a tracer chemical for trichlorinated ethylene. We're talking about the chemicals that are associated with Camp Lejeune. The bottom line is the Corps of Engineers has a history of doing their studies to reach an end result of no further action. And we've been 7 years so far. Ooh, they're coming in to do sample pits. They should have done directional push technology years ago. I'm just going to say it's a bullshit effort, and it's not going to go anywhere. And the only way it'll get anywhere in other communities is when their local government has stepped up and sued the Corps of Engineers in order to get the results that were necessary.
Thank you. Woody Sweet. Lieutenant Woody Sweet. All right.
Good evening, Commissioners. Woody Sweet, Vice President, Brevard County Professional Firefighters. I, like you, am an elected leader who has sworn an oath to those I represent. I come before you tonight to demand action concerning the state of public safety here in Brevard. We are not facing the potential of a critical failure, but rather we have reached critical failure. This is evidenced in our inability to handle the 911 medical call load. As of 2 weeks ago, we were forced to seek assistance from Coastal Health Systems to help with our staffing and apparatus deficiencies. If you don't know, we are very deficient. This, coupled with the fire chief declaring a public safety crisis, and now Commissioner Atkinson declaring the same crisis, only echoes what the Brevard County Professional Firefighters has been telling the county for well over a year. You may be hearing from some prominent figures not to listen to the firefighters regarding the state of public safety, but this is simply a fraudulent message designed to cause a rift between leadership and the firefighters, paramedics, and inspectors. To combat the misinformation regarding the firefighters, I direct your attention to the email that has been distributed to all 5 of you commissioners from a neutral third-party magistrate detailing his observation of the state of Brevard County public safety. The magistrate's email reveals that fire rescue has been operating in a spending deficit. He explains his displeasures with the county's stance on this matter as it pertains to the lack of contract with your firefighters and the lack of appropriate funding required to operate. He also advises against waiting for his report and recommendation. And he strongly suggests that the county finds a solution as soon as possible to avoid service failure, which we are at You have not listened to his email that he sent you, and we have failed. We're not almost there anymore. We are there. While I fully understand that the process of defunding the fire rescue department started well before any of your times on this commission, but this is an inherited problem that you have sworn to fix. As Commissioner Veltner said tonight, we will get this done this summer. This is a major error and will cost lives. With that said, given the information, as the chair of the Board of County Commissioners, will you commit to expedite properly funding fire rescue rather than waiting months for the report and recommendation from the special magistrate? So we may begin the rebuilding process so we can provide the proper service we were sworn to give. The lives of the people are at risk. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the end of public comment. Commissioners, in board report, Frank in board report.
I have no board report, Commissioner.
Morris in board report.
No report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Commissioner Delaney in board report.
Yes. Logan, if you wouldn't mind putting my slides up. Thank you. So we've had a lot going on in D1. I was lucky enough to go on a North Area Parks tour with Mike, our construction manager, and Steve. And shout out to them. They were amazing, so knowledgeable, just incredible people. We went all around to the D1 parks looking at all the projects that are being done. And it was really great to get a real hands-on understanding as to what's going on up there. And I'm also happy to report, because this has come up quite a lot in my office, that herbicides are not being used in D1 park ponds. And so that's really, a great thing. So, the more we can cut down on our chemicals in our waterways, the better, because it cuts down on our algae blooms and keeps our water looking great, which is not only great for everyone's health, but it's great for our economic development. And, us Floridians, we love being on the water. So, I also went to a couple of community meetings in Cocoa. So one, Councilwoman Koss hosted, and it was really great to get to speak to the residents in Cocoa and hear their thoughts and concerns and all of that. So that was really great. And then I also went to a community meeting about the City Point development that was on the table. And it was great, again, getting to hear from those residents. I also went on a couple of farm tours. So one in the north end of the county and one in the south end. And so the farm at the south end, I think, was 25,000 acres, and the one at the north end is around 70,000. And honestly, I'm speechless about what these families do for preservation, for conservation, for the well-being of our community. For up in North Brevard at Farmton, what they're doing is they're rebuilding a quail habitat to bring the quails back to North Brevard, which is really cool for any hunters out there. That's been gone for a really long time, so they're working on that, and it's really awesome. I also went to the canvassing board meeting on the special primary election night, and that was really incredible to watch in action what the supervisor of elections does, and how all the magic happens, so to speak. And I'm happy to report that there were no issues. Everything, unfortunately, there was not a whole lot of voter turnout, but hopefully we can pump those numbers up. It's really important, even in these special elections, to get out there and get your vote, because the more people that vote, the more the community is represented in their vote. So also, I have been attending the weekly healthcare stakeholder meetings that the Space Coast Health Foundation has been hosting. So shout out to them, and thank you for organizing those meetings. They've been making great progress as far as bringing everybody together and getting to a solution. If you wouldn't, oh, thank you. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the EAR and the area of critical state concern. At the November 7th meeting, my predecessor stated there would be a new commission here, and they might want to do a workshop and figure out what to do with all the input and what they want to do moving forward. So I would like to bring forward at the next meeting a request for a workshop to talk about the update to our comp plan, because there was a lot of citizen input into this, and I really feel like there should be more of a conversation around this, because there was so much citizen people care about this. They want to know what's going on. They want to feel like they're heard. They want to be part of the conversation. And I just really feel like this is necessary. Besides, public safety, this is one of the major things that we do. And so I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that I'm going to be bringing that forward on the next agenda. So the Orlando Health Rockledge Regional Hospital. I've received so many concerns from citizens, from our fire department, from Health First, from Parish Medical Center, from Rockledge Hospital doctors and nurses. I just wanted to read a post that I saw today on Facebook. It says, ambulance rushed my sister to Vieira Hospital from the Port St. John Urgent Center because Rockledge is no longer accepting patients. She arrived there just after 4 yesterday afternoon and was placed outside in the lobby for at least 6 hours before she got back in terrible pain. We're still in the ER, there's no beds available, and the waiting time, the waiting room, when we started, was told a 2-hour wait. Waiting on surgeons to make a decision. I highly recommend, if you don't need to go to the hospital for non-emergency care, go to a walk-in clinic. This is insane. And I would have to agree. Commissioner Feltner, you mentioned a couple times now that, there's something big coming and like whatnot. And I'm speechless in this. I mean, I know that Coastal coming on board is a Band-Aid to this crisis that we're in, but it's not something that I feel like is sufficient. I'm also heavily concerned that we were not really part of that decision-making. This is a critical, massive change to the way that we do business here in Brevard County, and I just really feel like we should have had more board discussion over this. I'm concerned over the level of service, and I don't know if, Chief, if you wouldn't mind coming up, I have a question for you. So as far as the level of service goes, I understand that the coastal ambulances are going to show up in non-emergent cases. So not a heart attack, not a stroke, not like major bleeding or trauma or something like that. But what about, God forbid a kid got into a football accident and they broke their femur? What would that look like?
So that would actually fall under their trauma alert protocol.
Okay.
So that would be one of, now we have 2 helicopters in Brevard County with homes going to the north end at Tyco Airport also. I mean, we've had many calls since then. I've only had 1 call in my career where we've called for 2 helicopters, but crazy enough, since we've had 2 helicopters in Brevard County, I know of 2 calls where we've actually had to utilize 2 helicopters.
Wow. And so anything to do, and this is just for clarification, so, I just want to make sure that the public feels comfortable too with this, but anything to do with like growth plates, would that be considered an ALS situation when our people show up, not coastal?
Yeah, a broken bone.
Any kind of broken bone?
Yeah, would be an ALS call. So all of these calls, from the beginning, we're not a coastal unit. A BLS unit is not going to go to a call on their own without any of the municipal first response or a county unincorporated area first response unit with a paramedic, ALS unit, getting there, evaluating the patient. From there, if they deem that it's a call that would fit the protocol for coastal, they'll then call our medical director, and the medical directors will say yes or no. One of the examples I have is a bite. Somebody called 911 for a ant bite, bee sting. I'm not sure what kind of bite, but it was a bite, and called the medical director, gave the vital signs, give a rundown, tell the whole situation to one of our on-call medical directors, and then they'll transfer it to coastal from there. So we have a lot of eyes on it to watch it through the process. Total of 49 activations since it's gone into service, and 16 since the hospital, 7 o'clock on Monday morning, the hospital was officially shut down, and 16 of those have been since Monday morning.
Okay. And so I just wanted to put it out there for the public that's watching this. I just wanted everybody to be aware that the hospital is closed in Rockledge. So please don't drive there. Don't go there because you won't get service. And if you are having a true emergency, I would hate for something to happen because you didn't know. So if you have neighbors, if you have elderly people in your community that you look after, if you are in a mom's group, whatever you're doing, please try to spread the word that the hospital is closed and to please don't go there. Something for the future, because would an alternative to this be hiring single certification paramedics per diem? Is that something that's viable to get some of these people who are highly qualified working for these other agencies into our agency?
Yeah, we started with the single certs on a 24-hour basis, and I know the guys with the union, they had a conversation about the per diem late last week to start working on that and look at that as another angle. But yeah, we'll hire any single cert that would like to come work at BCFR, any firefighter that would come work at BCFR, we'll hire. Anyone that can pass our tests, there's no doubt about that. I mean, you heard the guys here. If we had the available people to do this ourselves and the rigs, we would be doing this ourselves.
Is it possible to work with them on their schedules as far as like that they don't have to work a full 24 hours, that they could work a 12-hour schedule?
Yeah, anything's possible. They just started talking about that the other day. So how that would work in the flux of things, we'd have to talk that through. It's in the beginning stages, but they have been talking about it, yes.
So can I put it out there for people to start applying so that we can start
filling our fire department?
Okay. Well, if you're out there and you are a single cert paramedic and you want to work for Brevard County, but the hours are a problem, please email me. Please email, Chief, or our county manager, because we want you working for us for Brevard County. And then what is the cost to the residents who use coastal services?
$742.95 plus $14.30 a mile.
Okay. And is that, that's the same as our rates currently?
Our rate for BLS transport is actually $849.81 with the same per mileage rate.
Okay. And then the coastal vehicles, do they charge extra for any like services that are provided within the
No.
ambulance? Okay.
No, not that I'm aware of. I'm
Okay.
obviously not a billing expert for coastal, but
Okay.
not that I'm aware of.
All right. Thank you. I think that's all I have for you.
All right. Thank
you
you.
so much. So that all being said, I just wanted some information to get put out because I don't know how much has really been talked about to the public. And so the next thing that I would like to talk about is I was at, along with Commissioner Feltner, we were at a health update, I guess it is, Community Health Needs Assessment Update. And it was a meeting where a lot of stakeholders got pulled into the conversation. Everyone from nonprofits to healthcare industry people. There were some elected officials there. There was just a lot of people who, would be could benefit from this information. And unfortunately, I was kind of troubled by what I saw. And it's because the data that was put out there just seemed very, it was very minimal. The pool was only 1,200 people within the whole county. And they gave us this survey data. And compared to other surveys that I've seen going to government meetings and whatnot, I was really troubled because the people who put it together, they couldn't give me their metrics. And I was troubled by that, especially because this data could influence the decisions made by different healthcare providers. And we had some of our county staff there. This information went out there, and so I just wanted to go on the record and talk about that because only 233 people in North Brevard were a part of this. Only half of the people who participated were random, and I feel like that's a really important data point because if a survey is biased, how good is the data? And I just really felt like I needed to speak about that. So the city of Titusville, I think it was a couple years ago, 1 year ago, in 2024, they put out this survey, and it went out to their constituents about basically how the city is going. And I just felt like that company gave us 3 pages worth of methodology about how they did this survey. And so I was really troubled when I saw the community health needs assessment, especially because of how important that information is. So I think that is pretty much it. I would also like to give you guys a heads up that on the next board meeting, I will be putting on the agenda the other CRAs. So, that will be open for conversation.
Commissioner Altman in board reports. I think Commissioner Goodson, sorry, do you have anything? Commissioner Atkinson?
None other than I look forward to you crushing my CRA.
Okay. Commissioner Atkinson?
Just 3 things very briefly. I'm going to be hosting a town hall down in Barefoot Bay. There's been a lot of citizens who've got some things they need to discuss, so we're going to be doing that this month. I'm continuing to work with staff and the Barrier Island Preservation Protection Association. Hopefully, we will be able to have the Barrier Island Area of Critical State Concern plan hopefully transmitted sometime in July. Currently, I believe our attorney is looking over some changes that were made by BIPA. And lastly, I would just like to say that, again, FDOT has been fantastic. They have put their project for the pedestrian hybrid beacon on hold at the moment until we have a stakeholder meeting. That's it.
Okay, appreciate that. On the hospital, since you mentioned that, I know the legislature just continues to put pressure. I can't speak to any specifics, only in that I think it's still evolving. I know that they've got some kind of just even the question of, hey, what can we do to make things a little better in Brevard? I think that at least starts a discussion on we need help with this, that, and the other thing. So I think that's in progress right now. The event that we went to on the data, I don't think you're wrong, but the closer you get to the population, the greater the validity of your survey. So more people, more data will, I think, they'll probably go there in the future. That's just the nature of data. Anyways, thank you, everybody. Is that it? Okay. Thank you very much.
The opinions expressed by any member of the public during any period of public comment do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, or the program sponsor, and are solely those of the presenter. The Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, and the program sponsor hereby expressly disclaim any and all responsibility or liability for any defamatory or slanderous statements expressed by any member of the public during any such period.